Jess, I know you said last night you thought one inning and one inning in particular was the key to the entire game.
Yeah, it was that fourth inning, and Clayton Kershaw, he struggled with his command in that inning. He walked the first two batters, and you kind of felt like, oh no, is this kind of later in the game when we've seen Clayton Kershaw in the postseason start to lose? And he reared back. He was able to saw off the hands of Joey Wendell to get a pop fly, and then the dirty curveball. I mean, this is the Uncle Charlie we know so well from Clayton Kershaw to get the strikeout. That was out number 2. And remember, runners are at first and third. There was an error this inning, a stolen base. So much had happened. And that's when Manuel Margot tried to steal home. You're looking at like millimeters, centimeters. Most strikeouts, by the way, via the breaking ball in a single postseason by Clayton Kershaw. I mean, between his slider and the curveball, just keeping those Rays hitters off balance. But that's still a home, by the way. Manuel Margot, and we're talking this, all the things that had to go right for Clayton Kershaw to not throw that ball to the backstop when Max Muncy started screaming at him that the runner was going to not balk. I feel like the Rays would have rallied and they would have won this game.
Why try that steal, though, at that moment, that time? I understand back to the runner at third. He's in a long delivery and a windup, and why do that at that moment?
Because there's 2 outs, you got the bottom of your lineup up, and this is the Rays. This is what they do. They catch you off guard. They do scrappy things. And Keyshawn, I get it. He's thrown out at home, so it looks like, what's he thinking? So many things have to happen. You see Max Muncy throwing and screaming. Clayton Kershaw was blind to this. The jump that Margot got, and you got to remember, I mean, Keyshawn, picture that you're standing there, and all of a sudden you're in your delivery, mid-delivery, your teammate is screaming at you. You don't practice this. You just heard it hasn't been successful since 1950. You just don't see it. Kershaw could have stopped to try to get Margot, which would have been a balk, and now he scores. Or he could have panicked and then chucked that ball into the stands, and he scores. Instead, he throws a strike to home and gets him out still by this much. That's why the Rays do it. So many things had to go right for the Dodgers, and they did. Ultimately, that's why they win.
So, Jess, in other words, Kershaw's mentals was on point because he did not panic at all.
Yet pressure did not get to him. We saw in Game 4 in that crazy 9th inning when Chris Taylor booted the ball, Will Smith dropped the ball. Like, pressure is a crazy thing. You guys know this, right? Jay Will gets this. You guys have played. Like, pressure makes people get super tight and do things in that moment. More so than his command or his curveball or his slider in that game. The fact that he was able, under that kind of pressure, someone screaming at you, to get the ball home and get that out is what won that game.
Speaking of pressure, Blake Snell is on the mound for the Rays, Game 6. How did the Rays not let the Dodgers close it out?
They have to do 2 things, Jay Will. First, I mean, nine strikeouts isn't going to hurt. That's what Blake Snell did in Game 2. He was ridiculous. He lit up the strike zone. This is what he has to do. Remember, he struggled coming into this World Series. Why? He had 100-plus pitches in like 3 innings because he couldn't throw a strike. He's got the dirtiest slider in this postseason, and when he was able to get the Dodgers ahead because he attacked the strikeout, he had 9 strikeouts against the Dodgers offense that is so tough. He is dirty when he does it. But the biggest thing is the Rays have to get the lead early. So when Blake Snell is able to get those strikeouts to keep the Dodgers offense, he hands it off to the bullpen. That's how Rays win ball games.
Jessica, Dave Roberts, the skipper, seemed to take Kershaw 1 out too early versus 1 out too late last night. How important is it, though, to self-evaluate what you do as a skipper to make sure that you having the most success with that ace during the postseason?
Did you see him arguing too when he was out on the mound and Dave Roberts came out? I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna be good. Like, this is not gonna be good. And Justin Turner, I loved it, by the way. Boy's got his back. Like, Justin Turner's yelling at Dave too, and you could tell he's like, I know I shouldn't be yelling at my manager right now, but Justin Turner jumped in and like, don't do it, Dave, don't do it. He did it. He pulls him out. But Keyshawn, you'd always rather it be an out too early than an out too late. We've seen that's the narrative for Clayton Kershaw. Why did you run him back out there? Why did you leave him out? Dave Roberts has heard this story too often. They have so many guys, and he ended up ultimately playing it perfectly, handing it off to each and every one of them, and then ultimately Blake Trinan being able to close it out.
Last thing for you, Jess, even if the Dodgers do win it tomorrow night.
Even.
Okay. Just
When?
for my safety here, Jess, when the Dodgers wrap it up tomorrow night in game number 6, I do think, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, every year there's a breakout star of the playoffs, right? A couple years ago, Steve Pearce was the MVP of the World Series, for goodness sake. But this time around, this kid, Randy Arozarena, I have not seen a kid arrive on this stage with the number of home runs, the postseason record for hits in a postseason. Tell us something about this guy. I thought he just burst onto the scene and blindsided so many fans.
He did. I mean, he didn't play a bulk of the season. He was sick. I mean, this is someone that not only has exploded offensively in a way that's been consistent. I mean, it's one thing. We've seen Daniel Murphy. We've seen guys in the past where they just hit a bunch of home runs, but he's got the hits. He has been their offense. I mean, shoot, he gets sniped on his way running home, barrels over, still manages to score in Game 4. But Zubin, I think the biggest thing, if you ask Randy Arozarena who his favorite player in baseball is, he has answered, it's Randy Arozarena. Like, he's got a ton of confidence. He's got a ton of swag. He gets it. Every time they show him in the dugout, his emotion, his energy, everything that he does, I look at him as not only being a star that's emerged within this World Series, but a young player that's going to be able to go and showcase, and people now know his name, know how to say his name right now, by the way, carrying into the future where you can talk about some of these Tampa Bay Rays players, but especially Randy Arozarena, the personality. I mean, he has put on a show. Especially, you got to remember, the Dodgers know this is a guy that can't beat them. They try to give him a curveball. They try to give him whatever it is. He still hits it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.